It is a great day to be alive, and I am so thankful for God, Jesus Christ, who lives in us. In today's video titled, When God Reveals Many Layers, I'm going to be sharing several different dreams, one involving Gary Gensler, and also a dream that someone else had about Gary Gensler, and the similarities that I saw between my dream and his dream. I'm also going to be giving a timeline, a possible timeline update, as well as a dream about a bulletproof vest and a migration dream as it relates to the Hunter moon. So a lot of things to cover in this video. I want to pick up where we left off with the combo dream and just kind of organize things in a way that I feel God has been revealing it to me, as well as me praying about specific things as it relates to what comes next. Before we get started, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing that I'm sharing is financial advice. I am simply sharing dreams and visions that I feel God has given me as it relates to crypto. Also, my heartwarming thoughts and prayers goes out to those who have been involved in both Hurricane Helene as well as Hurricane Milton. I have family in Florida, so it is really hitting home right now. And so my prayers are with your family, friends, and loved ones that have been directly involved or indirectly involved in this hurricane, in these hurricanes in some way. So now let's get into the video. Sometimes there are layers to the things that God reveals to us. And when we think that we're down to the last layer or we're done, God reveals another one. And this is what I'm seeing as it relates to this combo dream that I had about the trash truck and the 3 colored pom-pom balls. So in this dream, again, there were 2 messages that I received. I had this dream about 3 times in one night, and each time I woke up from this dream, I couldn't remember what was going on, why I was having the dream, what was going on in the dream. The only thing I can remember is that it involved the trash truck dream and the pom-pom balls, and I remember seeing the 3 colors. So now at the end of the dream, as I'm waking up, the 4th time as I'm waking up, I hear 2 messages. And those messages were, we are about to go through something seen but unseen. And the second one is, the U.S. is about to go through a storm like none other. And I shared in a previous video that I titled The Combo Dream, and I shared many different confirmations that I had about specific cryptocurrencies and possibilities as it related to Shiba Inu. And so I'm calling that video, as it relates to this video, putting it together, I'm going to look at that video as the crypto layer. So as we're talking about layers and how God is revealing different layers to this particular dream, I've already shared the crypto layer. There is an additional dream that I want to share as it relates to the crypto layer, and that's where we're going to begin in this video. And so here you see the 4 layers that I feel that God has been revealing based on this dream. Again, the crypto layer, there is a spiritual layer, there is a metaphoric layer, and then there is a literal layer. And I'm going to go through all of these except the spiritual layer, because I want to dedicate an entire video to the spiritual layer of all this. And at the end of the video, I will be revealing the outline of what that spiritual layer video will look like. So finishing up with the crypto layer, again, we're talking about the first message about seen and unseen, one of the 2 messages. And I shared how that God had given me a few dreams, one after the other. And then he gave me a familiar dream, one that I had seen before, but at the same time, it was unseen. And what do I mean about that? On August 18th, a year and a day from having the first market crash dream that dealt with the colors and the numbers and all of that God used to help me to build a timeline for the coming market crash. And so I remember seeing these exact same colors. However, the difference was, in the old dream, what I had seen, it had to do with the market crash. It had to do with war. And then there were the colors and the numbers. And from all of this in the old market crash dream, over time, the date of October 17th, which is what we're looking forward to now, is a date in particular that I feel that God has shown me. Now, as far as the unseen, a year and a day later, I had another dream, and this dream had to do with the same colors, except for a few differences. In this dream, there was no market crash scene. However, there were the colors. and there were no numbers. And so that's the difference between the old dream with the colors and the new dream with the colors, seen and unseen. And in this video, the combo dream, I began to share what I feel that God was showing me as far as these colors as it relates to the crypto side of things. And I've shown how these colors coordinated as far as XRP, Lunic, and USTC. I feel that the two blue eggs correlated with what God has been showing me and giving me as far as confirmation as it relates to the messages behind what's going to happen to XRP, what's going to happen with Lunic and USTC. And then the possibility as it relates to Shiba Inu and the colors of yellow and red, combining those two colors to get orange. I shared a haptic sound dream that I had as I saw this burnt orange candle rising extremely fast. Still don't know if it was Shiba Inu. Is it possible that it was? Yes. However, there were small details in the dream that caused me to kind of question if it was Shiba Inu or was it a different coin. So as far as XRP goes, there was a video, my very first video that I did about XRP, sharing the revelation as far as the dream that God gave me about XRP, and then another video about XRP as it deals with Elon Musk and Kim Clement prophecy, what I felt God had put together and had shown me as it related to the Blue Moon event. And so you would have to go back and watch especially the XRP with Kim Clement and Elon Musk to kind of understand about these two blue eggs and how I felt God was showing me a connection there. As far as Lunic and USTC, the dream that I had about that was about the two sets of candles on the same chart, and how that the candles were moving in unique ways, and then the candles moved from green to blue, and I was seeing two sets of blue candles. And so again, this correlates with the two blue eggs that I saw in my dream. And then again, finally with Shiba Inu, we have the burnt orange. Just not sure right now, still praying about that as well. I'm asking God, will this be another timeline as it relates to a bull run? Because all of these dreams and messages had to do with seeing candles moving up extremely fast and the message that XRP is going to take off in a short period of time. And I'm going to later address the whole appeal and SEC. And so again, looking at one of the two messages from the combo dream, seen and unseen, and this is how this has come together so far. Again, there was no market crash seen in the new colors dream, but there was one in the old. And right now we're looking at the date of October 17th as it relates to the old dream and the timeline that I feel God has given me. And so now we wait for that. Next, I want to share one last dream and the confirmation that I feel God has given me as it relates to XRP. I had this dream before the SEC decided to appeal the Ripple case. I had this dream on September the 30th, and the appeal, I think, came on October the 2nd. But anyway, I'm titling this dream The Theme Part. Okay, and so this dream started out with me holding two pieces of paper in my hand, and I understood that these two pieces of paper had to do with tickets. However, both pages looked the same, and so I went into the house. I sat down at the computer to try to figure out why didn't the title print on these two pages. And so I go to the computer, I try to put in my password, and I couldn't type in the password. Everything was very weird, and then the page ended up closing, so I had to end up reopening my page on the computer, and I finally was able to see the differences between the two pages because they look so much alike. And so as I'm looking at the screen, I realized that, okay, this page needs this title and this page needs that title. And as I'm writing down the title, I wrote down something that looked like BAL. There was an S, there was an M. And so I wrote it down. I said, okay, I got it. The dream changed. And now we are inside of this indoor theme park. And we're looking around, holding our tickets, looking around, trying to see which attraction we wanted to allow our kids to take part in. And that's where the dream ended. So why is this dream significant? Well, on May 31st through June the 3rd, my sister and her family and me and my family, we decided to go to Myrtle Beach, and we went to the aquarium. And there you had the options to buy as many attractions as you wanted. I think it was a max of 5. And so you pick out however many you want. The tickets, I believe, were universal, almost as if, you can go to, once you get in the park, you've already purchased the number of tickets that you wanted, but you can choose to go to one of the 5. And once it's scanned, then that counts as one. And so we ended up going to 3 different attractions, and we wasn't sure which one we wanted to go to until we got into the park. And then we decided, okay, let's go to the aquarium, let's go here, let's go there. And pretty much they were just scanning the 3 purchased tickets that we did online. And again, they were universal, so it didn't matter which one we went to first. We just can only go to 3. And so this dream reminded me of that. Again, this is significant because I had the XRP dream when I was at Myrtle Beach. The dream that showed me the XRP getting back on track, XRP taking off in a short period of time, and all of that, and the Starlink, and all of that was in that particular dream. And so that is why I am connecting this dream to XRP, but there's more. So I decided to do a random search about the word that I thought I wrote down. And in the dream, it seemed as if I wrote down the word balsamic. And so I thought about the balsamic vinegar. And so I decided to do a random search of balsamic vinegar or balsamic and indoor theme park, because those were the things that it was all about, the indoor theme park and then balsamic. And so I typed in balsamic kids fun park. And when I did that, I think about the second page of the Google search, I ended up seeing something that said Blue Moon. And it caught my attention simply because in the previous video, I had just talked about Blue Moon and how it correlates with XRP and Lunic and the 2 blue eggs from the second color stream. And so here I am looking at this again, and I see Blue Moon, and I see the name of this particular restaurant, Blue Moon Olive Oils and Aged Balsamic. And so I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, God, this is more confirmation, but I already believe that what you've told me about XRP, what you've shown about XRP. And so I've already shared that, revelation with, in my videos already. And so here I am looking at this again and wasn't sure why, but I just, put it in with more confirmation. And again, looking at where this restaurant was, of course, this was a Facebook page. And so that was that. And so at this point, I'm thinking about the trash truck dream, simply because I knew that the deadline for the SEC to appeal with Ripple was on a Monday, a Sunday going into a Monday. Why is that significant? Because in the trash truck dream, one of the main messages in the original trash truck dream was Sister Sharon asking me, are you sure? Are you sure? The trash truck came and the moon was out. And for me, my trash truck comes on a Sunday between the times of 10 and 12. And that's 12 p.m. at night when the moon is out. And so I'm looking at the date for when the appeal deadline is, and it is the 7th, which is that Sunday going into a Monday. And so I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is the seen but unseen with this. Well, we end up getting news that the SEC appealed, and that appeal came on the 2nd of October. So didn't even get a chance to do the Sunday going into a Monday because the news had already come out. And so now I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, Lord, so you've given me another dream to confirm what you said about XRP, and I believe it. I stand on it. I have conviction in that. However, the SEC has appealed this thing. And so I feel that God was preparing me for what was going to happen. Don't allow this to put a damper on what I have promised. Don't allow this to change your mind about what I have said. And so that is how I had to look at this. And obviously, it is one of those things that kind of slaps you in the face and you kind of like, seriously, we were so close. However, blah, blah, blah. But here we are. And so again, this dream about these tickets and the balsamic and then the search that I did to bring me to the Blue Moon, all of this, I believe, was a reminder of what God has promised before the SEC news came out. And sometimes we have to take a step back and we have to remember. Sometimes it's been months ago since we heard God say these things. Sometimes it's been years ago since we heard God say these things. But we still have to take a step back. We still have to allow God to be God and not forget about his promises. We have to stand on his promises, or else we're going to allow what we see in the now, what we see before us now, to deter our faith and to change our minds about what God has said. said. And so that shouldn't be. And in this situation, God is just throwing out confirmation for me, throwing out confirmation after confirmation after confirmation. And it's all coming together, but it seems like it's trying to unravel on the other side. And that's what the enemy wants. He wants us to see it. Oh, it's not coming together. It's beginning to unravel. And do you still believe what God has said? Yes, I believe what God has said. I stand on God's promises. And that's what we have to do during these times. Don't be discouraged, but allow God's promise to keep us uplifted. Allow God's promise to keep us in a place where our mind is stayed on that promise, that we can continue to move forward. Again, we're still talking about this crypto layer as it relates to the combo dream, and we're still focusing on one of the two messages, seen but unseen. So now let's talk about Lil Gary. XRP, Ripple, and Gary Gensler. So, of course, everyone knows about what has happened. But I want to share a dream that I had about Gary Gensler, a dream that I had a while back. I just waited for God to give me the time to share this. And I had this dream on October the 12th. And in this dream, I saw Gary Gensler laying in a hospital bed. He was laying in a hospital bed, and there was a lady standing next to the bed and standing next to him. And Gary looked at her and he said, "I'm tired. I am just so tired. I think I'm going to just take the shot and regret it later. I think I'm going to just take the shot and regret it later." And at this point, I understood that this shot had to do with ending something. And the lady kind of laughed, and, she seemed like she had tears in her eyes, but she kind of laughed a little bit, and she said to him, "And that is why I am here, to keep you sober." And that was the end of the dream. On July 12th, we already knew that the case was closed. The case for the Ripple case was closed on July the 7th. And so by the time I had this dream, the case was already closed. So my initial thought was, oh, okay, maybe Gary's going to give up. Maybe little Gary's going to give up and he's going to not appeal this case. He's going to leave it alone. Okay. And then my second thought was, well, Lord, this is huge in the eyes of crypto, huge in the eyes of many institutions and banks. And this is a big deal as far as this case being closed. I really hope and pray that Gary Gensler doesn't do anything to harm himself. And so at the end of the day, regardless of how much it angers us about appealing and the things that he's done, I'm more concerned about Gary's soul more so than is he going to appeal the XRP, the Ripple case. And so we have to look at this from a spiritual side of things as well. He's still a human, and as long as he has breath in his body, God is still able to save Gary if he's not claiming salvation. But we still praying that he's on the right track, or that he will be on the right track. And so my thoughts and prayers went out to Gary at that point, because again, that comes first, because it takes God to change a person. It takes God to allow a person to see what needs to be done in their own personal life, and then that trickles over into their work life. And so I began to pray for him. I took my mind off the fact that this could be him not appealing, and tried to focus more on the fact that, he needs God. And so here I am thinking about this dream, and it reminded me of something that I heard about 2 years ago when my husband and I were trying to understand more about the wealth transfer community and understand crypto and all this kind of thing. We came across an individual who did a video about XRP, and it took me almost a day, probably longer than a day, to find this video because it had been that long. I didn't know the person. I just understood that he talked about XRP going up, and something about a silver bullet and Gary Gensler. And so I'm like, I got to find this video because this is connecting to mine. And I remember him saying something about Gary Gensler being drunk. And so I finally found the video, and I'm going to share the dream now. And this is the individual. I apologize, I did not get his name, but this is the title of the video. And before he shared the dream, he said that God told him that XRP would go to $100. And then he began to share his dream. And so he said that he saw Gary passed out. Gary was drunk and he was passed out. And then he sat a 6-pack onto Gary's lap. When he set the 6-pack onto Gary's lap, he saw Brad Garlinghouse. And Brad said, is that okay that you do that? And then he looked at Gary, and I looked at Brad and said, well, Gary said that it was okay. And then he said he heard a voice. He heard a voice, and the voice asked a question. When? Gary Gensler opened his eyes and said, any day now. And that was the end of his dream. So the difference between my dream and this guy's dream is that in his dream, Gary was already drunk. In my dream, it seemed as if Gary was making a decision to give up, a decision that would put him in a place of becoming drunk. And therefore the lady said, that is why I'm here, to keep you sober. And so I think that all of this has to do with decision making, things that will influence Gary to make the decisions that he's making as far as this XRP, this Ripple case. And so there is a connection there somewhere. I don't know if my dream was depicting Gary trying to move away from the case and trying to leave it alone, where there was someone there to influence him otherwise, and therefore we saw the long wait and then the appeal. I'm not sure, but I am still praying about this, and I do believe that at the end of the day, what is happening with this case is not going to be the reason why or the reason for XRP moving up. Because God doesn't need Gary Gensler to make a decision not to appeal in order for XRP to go up. Before Gary got involved, XRP was at $3 and some change. And so now that we've, if we go back to that and say, okay, what if Gary didn't appeal? We would go back to $3. Okay. But that's not what God has promised. God has given many people dreams and visions and has spoken thousands of dollars as far as XRP goes. And so we have to remove Gary and say, God don't need Gary to do that. But at the same time, is God hardening the heart of Gary to keep the price of XRP low so his people can still have a chance to buy into this? It's a lot of questions, but only God knows the answers. And so as it relates to his dream and my dream, I believe that this is God's way of showing us that this is going to happen regardless of whether Gary is going to be involved or not, whether Gary is sober or whether Gary is drunk. I'm going to allow this to happen. And this is all that I have about Gary. This is all that God has shown me about Gary. And again, I sat on this because I saw two things. I saw, oh, Gary's not going to appeal. And then I also saw, well, Gary needs Jesus. And so we're going to pray for Gary. Let's continue to pray for him. Again, despite of decisions, we want Gary in the body of Christ. And I'm not saying that he's not there, but I pray for it anyway. It won't hurt to throw up a prayer of salvation for Gary Gensler. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the crypto layer. And now I want to move on to let's talk about both of these messages together. And that's going to be the metaphoric and the literal layer of this combo dream. Again, here are our two messages. And so now moving forward, I want to focus on the storm. The U.S. is about to go through a storm like none other. And as we look here, what is the metaphoric storm? The metaphoric storm is what I shared in the video about the storms of economic shocks. And so we have many things that I feel God is revealing. War, market crash, dollar crashing, things that God has revealed to me and to a lot of other people. And so that's the metaphoric. And now literal, we've seen Hurricane Helene. We've just witnessed what happened with Hurricane Milton. And again, we're looking at the literal storm, a physical storm. And so what I did was I went back and just because I decided to correlate the numbers from the old market crash dream with the colors of the new dream. Didn't have anything to do with a market crash, the new dream. And I decided to put the numbers together and just correlate those numbers and to see, God, this is not me saying that this is what's going to happen. This is not me saying that this is a timeline you've given me, but I just wanted to see, because we're looking again at seen and unseen. If you've given me these things before and I've seen these numbers before as it correlates with these colors, let me just see. And when I did that, I ended up putting the numbers as you see here. These numbers represented the colors based on the old dream. Okay. And so I began to put together this timeline. Now I did question God, Was this new dream and colors related to a new timeline as relates to a bull run? Still praying about that. So this timeline is not to say that this is what it is. No, this is just me trying God on both sides. God, what are you showing me? And I'm presenting this to him, and I'm presenting this to you to say I'm presenting this to him. And so this is what happened. I began to put in the days, the start date, the end date, and the event that happened. And I started with August the 18th of this year because that's when I had this dream about these colored eggs. And so the 40 days, the 60 days, and for now I have the 180 days because when you add up all the numbers, you get 180. And so when I put the start date at the time that I had the dream and I began to count those days, the 40 days ended on the day that Hurricane Helene hit the U.S. Okay, I don't know where else it hit, but I was more focused on the U.S. because my family is in Georgia and in Florida. And so I'm focused on Hurricane Helene. And on that same day, we had the Hezbollah leader killed on that day. And then we saw the retaliation strike that happened a few days later. And so here we are, looking at the fact that at the end of the 40 days, we have the Hurricane Helene hit. Okay, and then moving on, the 60 days will end on October 17th. We've seen that date before. Not a coincidence, but here we are. So we have the Hunter Moon event that's going to also occur on October 17th. And I had a dream as it relates to the Hunter Moon that I want to share. I know it's a lot of dreams, but I'm trying to keep it all together here. All right, so I'll share that dream. I'm calling it the migration dream. I'll share that at the end of the video because that kind of goes with another layer, the spiritual layer. And I want to right now focus on the metaphoric and literal. So here we are, metaphoric storm, the literal storms that we have. And one of the things I want to share as it relates to the U.S. is about to go through a storm unlike none other is an article that I saw. The lady for FEMA, she was talking about Hurricane Milton and how this could be like nothing they had ever seen before. Different wording, but almost the exact same saying as it relates to the message that I received from my dream about a storm unlike none other. So now backing up, going to October the 16th, I had a dream that I'm calling airline ticket. And I had this dream on September 25th. And in this dream, I saw a date of October the 16th. I was given that date in the airline ticket dream. And I'm going to share that dream now. So on September 25th, I had a dream that my husband and we were getting ready to take his mother back to the airport. And so I needed to do my hair, put my hair up, and I needed to get my shoes on. So they were all going out the door. I was rushing into the bathroom to go ahead and put my hair up and get my shoes. And so I'm looking in the mirror at myself, putting my hair up, and I see that I'm wearing a bulletproof vest. Didn't seem odd. I didn't have any thoughts about it. I just noticed that I was wearing a bulletproof vest and it looked like the one here in the picture. And so I put my hair up and I'm carrying my shoes into the living room and I'm putting my shoes on. Well, I had my phone in my hand and I was having trouble putting my shoe on. So I put my phone down on the sofa. And as I'm looking down, I turn my head and I look at my phone and I see this airline ticket screen pulled up on my phone. And the wording and the letters were faint, like they had been rubbed. And I could hardly read what it was saying. It was all kind of jumbled together. And I remember looking like, what is this? I know it's the airline ticket, but why is it on my phone? And I'm looking really hard. And there it was. I saw the date of October the 16th. And that was the end of the dream. And so there is nothing specific that I received from this dream. Only the thought of, why am I wearing a bulletproof vest while I'm going to the airport? And it makes you wonder, God, are you showing me something that may take place on October the 16th at an airport that will have to do with the reason why a person would wear a bulletproof vest, some type of attack? And so that is why this is on this timeline, because something like that would cause a lot of fear, and not only in the hearts of people, but in the markets here and there. So I don't know. And I'm not saying that something's going to happen at an airport. But it makes you wonder. That's pretty much where I am with this dream. This dream is fairly fresh and still praying about that as well. But I wanted to share that because I saw that date of October 16th, and that is really not just in the back of my mind, but in the front as well, trying to understand, well, what does this have to do with me wearing a bulletproof vest, the date of October 16th, and an airline ticket. So confused. But anyway, that's just a thought. Backing up again, looking at the start for the blue 80 days. It's 80 days because there were 2 blue eggs, and so I combined those together and I got 80 days. I started that on August the 19th, only because that was when the blue moon event occurred. It occurred the next day after I had this second color stream. And so I began my 80-day count on that day. Could I have started on August the 18th? Yes, I'm still not sure. Again, this is not a thus says the Lord timeline, and this is what it is. This is me just trying God. This is how the original timeline started, with me just saying, God, what are you doing? What am I putting together here? And so here we have the 80 days ending on November the 7th. It could be the 6th, it could be the 7th, it just depends. But for now, until God tells me otherwise, I'm going to just put it here. And the ending date would be November the 7th. Well, on November 7th, that puts us around the time, and I shared in the video about November and XRP, the collapse of the US dollar. And I shared in this dream how I understood something about the US dollar was beginning to collapse. And in that dream, also international banking and national banking was a topic. Indians, little Indian people I saw in this dream. Also in this dream, I saw my birthday and a classmate's birthday, and in actuality, our birthdays are both in November. So I got all these things putting me in the month of November. At the same time, I'm seeing something about the dollar is beginning to collapse. The national banking was gone. In the dream, I said, this is what I need, a national bank. And international banking was the highlight of the dream. This was the topic of discussion, so to speak. And so the question was, okay, the dollar is beginning to collapse. That was understood. Is this November of this year? Would this occur because of something with XRP? Maybe, we've heard a lot about XRP becoming the new world reserve currency. The possibilities there. Is it because of inflation? We know that there were rate cuts, but is that good or bad? Is it going to be because of BRICS? Is it going to be because of a combination of all these things? I don't know. However, I do feel as though God is putting this time frame for when we'll start hearing all this around the first week of November. Again, will it be this year? We have to wait and see. But the first week of November, the date of the 7th, falls on the first week of November. And so when I saw that, as I put in the 80 days and I saw November 7th pop out, I thought to myself, that reminds me of what the dream that I had about the international national banking and the dollar collapsing. And so that is why I've included that here, because of that November date. Now, what causes me to lean towards the XRP idea is because the same classmate in this dream that we share our birthday in November, she was also in the dream that God, he brought everything together in that XRP video. She was the one in that dream where it was 2 people, 2 orders were going to be filled, her order and my order, basically giving me that dream prior to the dream about XRP is going to take off in a short period of time. He connected the dots, and you would have to watch that video to see how all those dots connected. So just know that she was in that dream that has to do with XRP. And so because she's in this dream as it relates to November and the dollar collapsing, international national banking, I'm leaning more towards XRP being the reason for the dollar collapse. But it could be a combination of things. We know that things are going on with BRICS. Things are coming up, I think, the 22nd through the 24th of October. So just listening out for that. And just waiting to see how God is going to put all this together. And so that is why I've included that particular video here, because of that November the 7th date that came up on the timeline. And again, we're looking at the Metaphoric storm. This with the November date of the 7th, that falls under the Metaphoric as far as the economic storm. The U.S. is about to go through a storm like none other. Lastly, I want to go back and I want to share the Hunter Moon event, the dream that I had that I feel ties in with this event that's coming up on October the 17th. And really quickly, in this dream, I was in Florida. I was in Florida in my old neighborhood, and I heard a whole bunch of birds. And I looked up in the sky, and I understood what I was seeing was a flock, several different flocks of seagulls. And they were flying. Some was coming, some was going. They were turning around and going back the other way. And I saw a helicopter flying up in the midst of the flock. And so I began to think, like, okay, all these birds, this could be very bad. I don't want to get pooed on. And so I'm going to take cover. I'm going to take shelter. And so I immediately began to run to our family church, was to the left of me. And so I began to run to the family church to take cover under the porch of the church. And so I began to run. And immediately when I stepped foot underneath the covering, poo began to rain down. Everything became gray. Poo was everywhere. And people, I don't know where all these people came from, but people were running. I mean, they were terrified, screaming, running. And I noticed next to me under this covered porch that there were about 3 people huddled together, and they were looking terrified at the scene they were seeing with all these people running back and forth, left and right, just screaming and yelling. And I'm thinking to myself, y'all don't see this church covering? Y'all don't see this church? You can run under here and be covered. But they ran right past it. And I'm just kind of like, seriously, there's room. There's more room. It's a small church. It was a small porch, but there was still room. But people was running past it, and I couldn't understand why. And so that was the end of that dream. And then I had another dream. In this dream, I was walking with a group of people. We were traveling on foot, and we were going, I don't know where we were going, but I ended up hearing birds again, and I looked up at the sky, and I saw a whole bunch of birds, and it's like I knew what to do. Not that I remembered the first dream, but it was like the instinct of, where's the church? And I looked to my left, again, it was on the left, and I took cover, and when I took cover, the birds began to poo. Everything was just coming down, and that was the end of that dream. Now, getting to the Hunter Moon, and, there are certain names that they give it other than the Hunter Moon. They may call it falling leaves moon. They may call it drying rice moon, or the freezing or ice moon. And another name for it is the migration or travel moon. And I didn't know this prior to all of this. I wasn't even looking for any connection between the dream and the Hunter Moon. I was happening to look up what Hunter Moon meant because I knew it was on October 17th. And so here I am seeing this, and it has to do with the seasonal southerly migration of animals and birds. And so it's just not a coincidence that I had this dream, and then later on, a few days later, find out that one of the names that you can call this Hunter Moon is the migration or travel moon. And in my second dream, we were traveling on foot. However, I'm looking more so at the fact that the migration of birds. And so that is why I felt the need to share this dream, because it correlates with a name that you can call this Hunter Moon that we will be experiencing on October the 17th. And so my interpretation of this is that when things begin to take place, things begin to fall apart, will people take notice of the fact that the church is the covering? Not just the building, but the fact that Jesus Christ is our covering. When you come to the church, you don't have to even go to the church to find Jesus. Jesus is everywhere. You can go to your closet, your bedroom. You can be in your office, whatever. Jesus don't have no particular place where you can go to find him. Okay. And so, but the point is that people failed to realize that there was a shelter, there was a covering, and they were running past it. It was literally there. And it saddens me to understand, or to even think, that when these troubled times come, that people will not take cover. They will not allow Jesus Christ to be their covering. And so we have to pray for the minds and hearts of people that it don't fail them. But at the same time, we know that the scripture says that things are going to get worse. People are going to get wickeder or more wicked. And their eyes are going to be closed to these things. But I like Gary's eyes were closed. I believe that God can still open eyes. He can still open hearts. And so we have to pray in advance that these people allow God to prick their hearts in a way that they are able to see what is needed. I need to run to the church, not around it. I need to run to Jesus Christ, not beside him. I need to be in him and him in me. And so that is leading us now to the spiritual layer. And again, I want to dedicate an entire video to the spiritual layer of this combo dream. It is a lot, but I will start here to just kind of introduce it. Basically, I had 5 dreams. 2 of them would have to do with, and I'll get to that, but I had a dream about Jed, and I'll explain that in the next video. But that led me to the topic about King David and Solomon. And then I had a dream that I woke up from, and I couldn't even tell you what the dream was about, but I remember waking up seeing, in the dream before I woke up, I saw the word Revelation, and I saw 16 and a 14. And so that led me over into Revelation as it relates to the 6th bowl and the Euphrates drying up. And then here we have the 3 colored balls that we saw as it relates to the pom-pom balls as it relates to the combo dream. But this is specifically about these colors, because I was fasting and praying and asking God, why do I see white? I know blue and I know yellow, and I'll go into all of that. But I had one dream, which is the pom-pom dream, on the 30th of this year, and then the second dream as it relates to the shield and this beast you see here in this column. I had that on July the 2nd, and as you can see, it's the same 3 colors. And then the Jerusalem flag, as you can see, the same 3 colors. And all that led me to Daniel, King Nebuchadnezzar, their dream and vision, and also the 69-week timeline that we find in Daniel chapter 9. So all of this is connecting. And then finally, I had a dream. In this dream, I saw, before I woke up, in just glowing, like a glow, a white glow around it, Nehemiah 10. And in the dream, my mom was telling me, I got the book that you asked for. Specifically, read chapters 1 through 5 is what she said. And then the dream almost ended, and then I saw Nehemiah. So in my mind, I figured God is wanting me to read Nehemiah chapters 1 through 5, and specifically because it was a white glow around it, specifically Nehemiah chapter 10. And that led me to the rebuilding of the Jerusalem wall. And so all of this has been a long time coming, and I feel like God is bringing it all to a close. If this video does not come out right away, just understand that I'm still working on it. And I will also be sharing the dream that I had about the past and future dates, the March 14th, 2022, and then the years that I saw in this dream, 2032 through 2065. And so again, I'm trying to see where God is taking all of this. It's a lot of information, as you can see, and I pray I wasn't going too fast and I didn't confuse you. I tend to talk fast, but I try to do better when I'm making my videos. So if I talk too fast or if things were running together, please let me know, and I will try to fix that. But again, I tend to get excited sometimes about these things. But going back, when God reveals many layers, and as you can see here, even in this spiritual layer section, there's a lot of layers. And so we talked about the crypto layer, we talked about the metaphoric layer, and the literal layer as it relates to the combo dream, and the 2 messages about we are getting ready to go through something seen but unseen, and the U.S. is about to go through a storm like none other. So let's continue to pray for the U.S. Let's continue to pray for Israel. Let's continue to pray for our leaders. I will do another video later as it relates to our political leaders and dreams that I've had, oh my gosh, a while back I now understand based on what's going on now with politics and this election. And so I'll be sharing that later on as well. I've been sitting on these dreams for a while, but God gives you the right timing, and so I believe that. So again, I'll come back with that video about the spiritual layer, and I hope and pray that something was said here to encourage you, especially with what's going on with the SEC and Gary Gensler and Ripple and all of that. Let's continue to be encouraged. Let's continue to stand on the promises of God. And so that is all that I have for this video. Until the next one, God bless.